We move on now to talk about an historic day in our country for gay rights. Gays and lesbians will be able to serve openly in the military after the Senate today repealed the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy in a 65-31 vote. The House already passed it. Now it's awaiting the president's signature. It is a huge win for him, even though the Senate also killed his DREAM Act immigration reform bill today. Let's go to our congressional correspondent, Brianna Keeler, on Capitol Hill. Brianna.
Don, the breakdown on this vote, 65-31. You had 8 Republican senators joining with 57 Democrats and independents who were present and voting to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell, the practice of the U.S. military where gay and lesbian servicemen and women couldn't serve if they were going to be open about their sexual orientation. This has been a very controversial topic. It's had a very long and winding road, especially in the Senate. Most recently, this was attached to a larger defense measure, a defense authorization bill, and this was one of the reasons that a defense authorization bill failed, because of this controversial topic as well as some others. In the end, the House ended up passing a standalone Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal. That is what went through the Senate today. And today you're hearing from supporters like Senator Joe Lieberman, an independent from Connecticut, who's saying this is about righting a wrong. We also heard from his other leading co-sponsor, a Republican, Susan Collins of Maine, who said this is about making sure that anyone can serve in the military so long as they're willing to put on a uniform and fight for the freedom of all Americans. But there are still a lot of opponents here. Senator John McCain, he stood on the Senate floor today and said that he is concerned this is going to be a distraction that will cost lives. In the end, though, the plan is for President Obama, this is according to the White House, to sign this into law this week, and for then the military to go ahead and implement it here in the coming weeks. Don?
Brianna Keeler, thank you very much for that, Brianna. Let's go to our Pentagon correspondent, Barbara Starr. Barbara joins us by phone. So, Barbara, what does this mean for the military, and what is the reaction going to be like?
Well, I think over the last couple of days it became very clear this would make it through the Congress, and this has been something the administration has wanted since the presidential campaign. So people came to understand that there was a big hope on the part of the White House that they could get this through Congress. The reaction, everyone has their personal opinions about this issue, but there was a survey of the active duty military force and some of other members of the military, and there was a clear indication as a result of this survey that the majority of troops did not see it as a major problem to have gays and lesbians openly serving in the military. The majority of troops thought that life would go on pretty routine in the U.S. military. Some pushback from frontline combat units, especially in the Army and the Marine Corps. But there's been a pretty clear understanding that the White House wanted to move ahead with this, and now the military will salute smartly and get on with it, Don.
Barbara, I've been talking to several military members. Some are current, others were kicked out because of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and they all have said the same thing. Members, gay men and women in the military now can walk with a stiffer spine and can walk a little taller. So when can military members start coming out?
Well, there's a bit of bureaucracy, as there always is in the U.S. government, isn't there? The president will have to sign this into law. Then the Pentagon will engage in a certification that could last weeks or several months to make sure, under this law that has been passed, all of the policies, procedures, regulations are in place. They will certify that the military is ready for this, that there will be no adverse impact on military readiness. And then 60 days after that certification, Don't Ask, Don't Tell will be gone once and for all. Advocacy groups are a little cautious, some of them right now, saying, you know, be careful until that 60-day period is really up. But Defense Secretary Robert Gates has, by all indications, no intention, no desire to see anyone else separated from military service because of this.
Pentagon correspondent Barbara Starr. Barbara, thank you. Let's talk more about today's vote. I'm joined by Justin Elzie and Joe Sudbay. Justin is in New York, and he was the first Marine discharged under the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. Joe is in Washington now. He is a deputy editor of America Blog. Thanks to both of you for joining us. So, Justin, do you feel like that you started all of this and look where it ended?
Well, Don, I'm actually very happy today. I think this is a great first step. And, you know, I think it really speaks to the fairness and equality that we subscribe to as Americans here. And I'm glad that the senators listened to the majority of service members who said that this change would be a positive change and no negative effect to military readiness.
Any regrets? If you had to do it all over again, would you do the same thing, or would you, if you knew, if you had foresight that this day would happen, would you have come out still?
Absolutely. As I'm not sure the viewers are aware, I actually, after I was discharged under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, I was actually reinstated and went on to serve 4 years openly gay in the Marine Corps. And I actually just wrote a book about it. And I talk about those 4 years in the Marine Corps.
Yeah. Since you're pimping your book, what is it? What's the name of your book?
The title of my book is called Playing by the Rules, and it's really about my experience being the first Marine discharged under this policy and serving openly gay in the Marines. Okay, since you brought it up, we may as well go all the way with it. All right, let's talk to Joe in Washington. So Joe, it's America's Blog, the blog that you do. I spoke with Michelangelo Signorelli earlier, who does a radio show, and he's been getting response from his listeners. What are people saying about online? We've gotten lots of tweets, and most people are supportive, but not all of America is.
Well, and on our blog, people are very supportive. We've worked very hard to get to this point. It was a long struggle. Justin helped start the struggle 17 years ago. In the past 2 years, we really were a lot of work by a lot of folks to actually get to the point where this happened. I mean, there's a lot of activity in the past few days, in the past few weeks in Congress, but it took a lot of activity, a lot of activism over the past 2 years to push the White House, to push Congress, to make sure this really happened. So on our blog, our readers are ecstatic. This is a big win for equality, and it's a long-awaited win for equality.
Okay, I can't hear you. Were you able to hear him on the air, or is it just me who can't hear him? We're good. Okay, well, someone has the IFB keyed. I can't hear the guest. So anyway, I'm sorry, I could not hear your answer, so I don't have a follow-up. I'm going to have to go on to Justin, who I can hear. So Justin, have you spoken to men and women who have been released under... Better question, have you spoken to men and women who are still in the military now, and how are they feeling about today's vote?
Absolutely. As you're probably aware of, there's an organization called OutServe, which has a large network of gays and lesbians in the military, and a lot of them are really excited about this, that finally they're not going to have to lie anymore and have to look over their shoulders and be worried about being fired. So I think this is a really good day. And, you know, I just hope that people realize that there is still a lot of work to be done, that it's not safe to come out yet, and that we don't want the Pentagon slow-walking this implementation plan. So we need to keep a watch on that and make sure that they implement those policies sooner rather than later.
Okay, I'm going to be bold here and ask Joe another question. I know that I can hear him, but the audience can. So listen, what does this mean for the rest of the country beyond the military? And I'll ask a similar question that I asked to the guest earlier. Is this a watershed moment when it comes to America and dealing with gay rights or homophobia?
I think it actually is a very important moment for America. You got to remember, this legislation has very broad support. It is supported by almost 80% of the American people. This is not a controversial issue for the American people. They've moved past it. And I think that's really significant. The military is viewed as a bastion. You know, it's an important symbol to America, and it's one of the last places where discrimination against gay people was legally sanctioned. That's no longer the case. And I also think it's important that the politics have changed. I mean, just a few months ago, the president was at the G20 summit, and he said that people told him not to do Don't Ask, Don't Tell because it was bad politics. But what we're seeing is actually it's good politics. It's very good politics. This is going to be viewed as a great victory for the Obama administration. We had to kind of drag them to get to this point, and we had to drag Congress to get there, but the people who voted for it are going to view it as it's going to be a big political win for them. The political dynamics have changed dramatically in terms of how gay issues are viewed, and I think that's the watershed, and it will lead to more significant equality for gay and lesbian people in America, the whole LGBT community.
And luckily, Joe, I heard every word of that. Thank you very much, Joe Sudbay and Justin Elzie. We appreciate your time this evening. And still ahead on